A tarantula moves low to the ground. A giant centipede stays pressed against the surface. Neither relies on lift. Their bodies are designed for constant contact with land. That choice shapes how they move, how they sense, and how they survive. Leaving water was a trade. Buoyancy was lost. Gravity became permanent. On land, mass carries cost. Only certain designs stabilized. Arthropods survived because restraint worked. Rigid outer shells limited drying. Segmented bodies controlled force. Jointed limbs allowed precise movement across uneven ground. This design was not fast, it was reliable. Reliability mattered as land became unpredictable. Most lineages disappeared. Arachnids and myriapods remained. They accepted the same constraints but applied them differently. Exoskeletons limited growth. Large size increased risk. Tarantulas gained mass without speed. Centipedes gained length without height. Neither design was dominant. Both were viable. What they gained was access, tight spaces, unstable ground, shelter others could not use. These environments rewarded persistence, not expansion. Insects later filled open land with numbers and speed. Tarantulas and centipedes stayed at the margins, not because they failed, but because endurance was enough. They are not relics. They are solutions built for land that allows no excess. But those solutions are not the same. These animals are often compared. A tarantula and a giant centipede look like they belong in the same category. Large, many-legged, venomous, but that similarity is superficial. They are not related in function. They are not variations of the same design. They represent two separate solutions to the same environmental problem. A tarantula belongs to a lineage built around concentration. A giant centipede belongs to a lineage built around distribution. This difference begins at the body core. A tarantula's mass is centralized. Its vital organs are packed into a compact main body. Power is delivered through a small number of thick limbs. A giant centipede spreads its body across dozens of segments. Each segment contributes to movement. No single point carries the entire load. These choices cannot be reconciled. A tarantula commits to stability through anchoring. When it moves deliberately. When it strikes, it does so from a fixed position. A centipede commits to continuity. It is always in motion, even when still. Segments shift constantly to maintain control. Their nervous systems reflect this divide. A tarantula's brain is concentrated. Signals travel quickly to a small number of legs. Precision matters more than endurance. A centipede's nervous system is distributed along its body. Control is shared between segments. Consistency matters more than accuracy. Neither system is superior. They are incompatible. The same is true for their weapons. A tarantula's venom is delivered through fangs connected to its main body. The strike is short, the margin for error is small. A centipede delivers venom through modified front legs. The grip comes first, the bite follows. One relies on timing, the other relies on persistence. Even their feeding strategies diverge. A tarantula disables prey and waits. It feeds slowly. It minimizes exposure. A centipede consumes as it kills. Feeding begins immediately. Risk is accepted in exchange for speed. These strategies emerged independently. They were not inherited from a shared terrestrial ancestor. They were forced into existence by the same constraints: dry air, solid ground, limited energy. When two lineages face identical pressures long enough, similar shapes appear. But the machinery beneath those shapes tells a different story. A tarantula cannot become a centipede cannot become a tarantula. Their designs lock them into opposing approaches, and when they encounter each other, those differences do not cancel out. They collide. Collision is not the only cost. Size magnifies every limitation. Size is rare among arthropods. A tarantula and a giant centipede both exist, near the upper boundary of what land-based exoskeletons can support. Beyond this point, weight becomes a problem. Movement slows, recovery becomes harder. For a tarantula, growth concentrates mass. As a body enlarges, every step requires more force. Every jump risks structural failure. A fall becomes dangerous. Thick legs compensate. Dense muscle anchors the body to the ground. But this solution has limits. A larger tarantula cannot move continuously. Energy drains quickly. Extended pursuit is costly. This is why large tarantulas favor ambush, why they wait rather than roam, why they choose certainty over speed. For a giant centipede, growth spreads mass instead of stacking it. Length increases before thickness. Segments multiply. Weight distributes across the surface. This allows sustained movement, but it introduces coordination risk. Each segment must move at the correct moment. Mistiming spreads instability forward and backward. At small sizes, errors are manageable. At large sizes, mistakes propagate. A large centipede cannot afford disruption. Losing rhythm means losing control. Size also increases visibility. A large tarantula cannot hide in shallow cover. Its burrows must be deeper. Its shelter must be stable. Exposure increases danger from predators and environmental extremes. A giant centipede faces the same issue. More length means more contact points, more chances for injury, more surface area vulnerable to damage. Exoskeletons do not heal quickly. Damage accumulates until molting, and molting is dangerous. A large tarantula during a molt is nearly helpless. Movement is slow. Defenses are compromised. A large centipede faces similar risk. The larger the body, the longer the molt, the greater the exposure. Size increases feeding demands. A tarantula cannot rely on frequent small prey. It needs substantial meals. Failure to secure them means starvation. A giant centipede must hunt regularly to support constant movement. Missed opportunities cost energy quickly. Both predators walk a narrow margin. Too small, and they lose dominance. Too large, and they lose efficiency. Their current size represents balance, not optimization. Power gained from growth is matched by fragility. Every movement becomes a calculation. Strength is purchased with risk, and neither species can afford mistakes. Exposure becomes a liability. Neither animal advertises itself. A tarantula does not patrol its territory. A giant centipede does not announce its presence. Movement is controlled, exposure is avoided. For a tarantula, stillness is protection. Its body blends into soil, bark, and shadow. Remaining motionless reduces detection by both prey and predators. Energy is conserved by waiting. Time becomes a tool. A tarantula can remain still for hours, sometimes for days. The strike only happens when certainty is high. For a giant centipede, silence is achieved differently. It does not stop moving entirely. Instead, it moves in fragments. Segments advance in sequence. Contact with the ground is constant but minimal. This prevents vibrations from traveling far. Prey receives little warning. The centipede does not chase blindly. It adjusts direction based on feedback from antennae and body contact. Detection determines action. Both animals prioritize sensing over speed. A tarantula relies on vibrations through the ground and tension changes in silk lines. Even without a web, fine hairs across its legs detect minute disturbances. Movement that others would miss registers immediately. A giant centipede senses through touch and chemistry. Its antennae probe constantly. Its body reads the surface beneath it. Smell guides approach. Contact confirms location. Neither animal wastes energy guessing. Blind pursuit is inefficient. Mistakes are costly. Silence also reduces conflict. A tarantula avoids unnecessary encounters. Engagement is selective. A centipede withdraws if conditions are unfavorable. Persistence does not mean recklessness. When they move, it is because the probability of success is high. Both predators survive by limiting how often they must act. They do not dominate through presence, they dominate through restraint. In their world, being noticed is a liability, and silence is the first layer of defense, and silence shapes each predator differently. The tarantula is not fast by accident. Its body is built for brief decisions. Extended movement drains energy quickly. Delay increases risk. Everything it does is shaped around this constraint. A tarantula does not pursue, it prepares. Its legs remain coiled beneath the body. Muscle tension is stored. Hydraulic pressure builds silently. When movement happens, it happens all at once. There is no second phase. The strike is the action. Venom, grip, and positioning are compressed into a single moment. If contact is missed, the tarantula withdraws. It does not correct. It does not chase. The cost of hesitation is exposure. A tarantula's venom is optimized for this window. It does not rely on repeated bites. One delivery must be enough. The fangs are short but precise. They target vulnerable tissue. The goal is immediate control, not prolonged struggle. Grip supports the venom. It does not replace it. Legs lock prey into position just long enough for paralysis to begin. The tarantula's strength peaks instantly and falls just as quickly. This is not weakness, it is specialization. The nervous system reflects this strategy. Signals move rapidly from sensory hairs to the legs and fangs. Reaction time matters more than endurance. This favors clean, decisive actions. Long hesitation is punished. If the tarantula misjudges distance, it retreats. If the target resists too strongly, it disengages. Preservation overrides aggression. Against a giant centipede, this window becomes narrow. The centipede does not freeze when contacted. It responds continuously. If the tarantula fails to land venom immediately, the advantage collapses. The tarantula must end the encounter before momentum shifts. This is why positioning matters. Elevation, surface texture, and footing determine success. The tarantula waits until the environment favors compression. One mistake can be fatal. One perfect strike can end the conflict instantly. There is no middle ground. The tarantula does not win through persistence, it wins through timing. Centipedes do not wait. A giant centipede moves through its environment even when there is no immediate reward. Exploration is not optional. It is how the animal functions. The body is built for engagement. Dozens of segments remain in contact with the ground. Information flows constantly from surface to body. The centipede does not commit all at once. It advances incrementally. Each movement probes space ahead. Antennae test surfaces, legs confirm stability. When contact is made, the centipede does not retreat. Withdrawal is costly. Turning a long body takes time. Breaking rhythm increases vulnerability. Instead, it presses forward. Grip comes before venom. Modified front legs clamp down. The body coils inward. Once engaged, the centipede controls the distance. Space collapses quickly. More segments come into contact. More legs apply force. The prey is not pinned at a single point. It is enveloped. Venom follows pressure. The centipede's venom is designed for immediacy. Tissue damage begins quickly. Resistance weakens fast. Unlike a tarantula, the centipede does not require precision. Contact alone is enough to escalate the encounter. Endurance defines the strategy. The centipede does not peak and fade. It sustains output. Movement continues even while feeding. Control does not pause. This makes disengagement difficult for opponents. A tarantula that fails to land venom immediately faces a spreading grip. Each second favors the centipede. The centipede does not need to win instantly, it only needs to prevent escape. Its body design ensures this. Length creates reach. Segments provide redundancy. Losing grip in one area does not end control. Against a tarantula, space becomes the deciding factor. If the centipede closes distance fully, the tarantula's advantage disappears. This is why centipedes move constantly. They are not searching blindly. They are mapping territory. Control begins before contact and ends only when the encounter does. Movement decides engagement. Chemistry decides commitment. Venom influences more than lethality. For both a tarantula and a giant centipede, venom shapes how risk is calculated before contact ever occurs. A tarantula's venom encourages restraint. It is powerful but costly to deploy. Fangs must land cleanly. Delivery must be precise. Because of this, the tarantula avoids unnecessary conflict. It selects targets carefully. It commits only when conditions favor success. Venom is a final decision. Once injected, the tarantula expects the encounter to end quickly. There is little margin for correction. This produces a cautious predator. Confidence comes from timing, not aggression. A giant centipede's venom produces the opposite behavior. Its venom is paired with physical control. Delivery does not require exact placement. Grip comes first. Venom reinforces dominance. This lowers the cost of engagement. A centipede can escalate gradually. Contact alone begins the process. This produces a persistent predator. Confidence comes from presence, not precision. Commitment increases after engagement. Once a centipede clamps down, retreat becomes unlikely. The weapon encourages continuation. These differences influence how each animal approaches risk. A tarantula disengages if conditions shift. It preserves energy and safety. A centipede presses forward. It increases pressure to prevent escape. Neither strategy is reckless. Each is optimized around its weapon. Venom does not just kill prey, it rewires behavior. One animal strikes to end conflict. The other strikes to control it. When these two strategies meet, the outcome depends less on strength and more on timing and distance. Weapons decide how long a fight lasts, and in this case, they decide whether a fight even begins. But encounters are rarely voluntary. Shared shelters create overlap. A tarantula and a giant centipede do not seek each other out. They encounter each other because suitable spaces are limited. Burrows, hollow logs, rock gaps, and soil cavities attract both predators. These spaces reduce exposure. They regulate humidity. They offer protection. Darkness removes advantage. In confined spaces, vision contributes little. A tarantula's ability to judge distance becomes less reliable. A centipede's limited eyesight is no longer a disadvantage. Detection shifts to touch and vibration. Confinement magnifies error. There is little room to retreat. Orientation becomes difficult. A misstep cannot be corrected easily. Encounters are brief. Neither animal benefits from prolonged contact. Risk escalates rapidly. A tarantula must decide quickly whether to strike or withdraw. A centipede must decide whether to press forward or disengage. Indecision favors neither. If the tarantula lands venom early, control shifts immediately. Paralysis disrupts coordination. Grip weakens. If the centipede secures contact first, space collapses. Segments wrap inward. Escape routes close. Neither outcome is guaranteed. Exoskeletons resist damage. Venom does not always act instantly. Environmental factors intervene. Uneven surfaces alter footing. Moisture affects traction. The encounter is shaped by centimeters, not strength. Most interactions do not end in death. Often one animal withdraws before escalation completes. Survival favors disengagement. When conflict does occur, it resolves quickly. There is no prolonged dominance display, no drawn-out struggle, only rapid decisions under constrained conditions. When their paths cross, neither predator holds certainty. The land decides. Observation confirms this. Recorded interactions resist pattern. When tarantulas and giant centipedes encounter each other, outcomes vary widely. No single behavior dominates across all cases. No consistent advantage emerges. Some encounters end instantly. A tarantula delivers venom early. Movement stops. the encounter concludes before escalation. In other cases, the centipede secures contact first. Grip spreads. The tarantula is forced into retreat or submission. Other encounters stall. Both animals detect risk and disengage. No strike is made, no dominance is established. These outcomes are shaped by context. Species size matters, age matters, surface conditions matter. Even minor differences shift probability. Neither predator demonstrates control across all conditions. A tarantula excels in stable environments where timing can be controlled. A centipede excels in confined spaces where persistence matters. Remove either advantage and performance changes. Observed interactions reject hierarchy. There is no consistent winner, only situational success. Attempts to frame these encounters as contests miss the point. Both predators are optimized for different constraints. Their overlap is incidental, not competitive. When conflict occurs, it is resolved by circumstance, not superiority. The evidence does not support myth. It supports balance. Time makes this clear. If one solution were superior, the other would already be gone. A tarantula and a giant centipede have shared land for hundreds of millions of years, not in balance by agreement, but by limitation. Each survives because the other cannot replace it. The tarantula persists because precision works where patience is possible. The centipede persists because endurance works where pressure never stops. Neither strategy expands without cost. When conditions favor timing, the tarantula holds advantage. When conditions favor contact, the centipede holds ground. The land does not reward dominance, it rewards compatibility. Both predators operate near biological limits. Any shift toward excess creates weakness. Evolution does not seek resolution, it accepts constraint. This is why no outcome is final. Encounters do not rewrite the system. They test it, and the system remains intact. The tarantula still waits. The centipede still moves. Neither disappears, neither conquers. Persistence is evidence enough.